But the idea that you come here every day, thank you. And say hello to my co-host, my studio audience. How you doing? All right. Tiger Woods' new girlfriend is friendly with his ex. I've got an opinion. More bad news for Chris Brown. And fan favorite Drew Carey was eliminated on Dancing with the Stars last night. Let's talk about it and more. It's time for Hot Topics. Get comfortable, have a seat. And me, I'm giving you Easter Sunday realness. I have to tell you something. I am not a lace girl at all, but my guys really pulled this outfit together. Thank you, Antoine Morel and Memsor, for pulling this together. You know, sometimes, you know, they're only clothes and you can take them off, but sometimes you do have to think out of the box. And for me, this is big, because I don't do lace, but beautiful. So last night on Dancing with the Stars, fan favorite Drew Carey was eliminated. Now, he predicted his own elimination. You know, he was 8 points behind the next person. I suspect that it was time for him to go home. He probably wanted to go home after, because I was reading like in the Inquirer or something, that he was crushing on his partner, Cheryl Burke. Well, if you know anything about Cheryl, you know that she normally crushes back on her partners. Like, she's legendary for, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you're swiveling your hips and you're dancing skimpy, everybody but me and Tony, we had no damn chemistry at all. I suspect that's because we're both married and you're a nice guy, but just, you know. Anyway, and back at me, I know Tony. But you know, a lot of times when you have chemistry with your partner on Dancing with the Stars, you go a lot further because you're enthused about going for 6 hours of practice because you're sitting with this person that you're crushing on. Drew is 55 and Cheryl is only 29. See, I thought she was older than that. But that, you know what, also, Cheryl has a good job. They love her, like the bosses over at Dancing with the Stars. So she's making her own money. She's reportedly dating this guy from Cougar Town, the guy who lives next door, the actor. Yeah, she's dating him from Cougar Town. And he's younger and edgier, and Drew is just a nice guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want just a nice guy when you're 29 and zipping it, you know? Now, reportedly, Drew was worth $165 million. That'd make you think twice. But see, no, that might make you think twice if you were 29 and, you know, working at the gas station. But if you're 29 and you're working on Dancing with the Stars, listen, those dancers, they get a nice salary. They get a chance to do all kinds of appearances on the side and make money. So I get how Cheryl's feeling, even though this is a really good picture of both of them, isn't it? It's a really good picture. Anyway, and you know, Drew divorced his wife in 2012, so he's single and ready to mingle. But he's just a nice guy. Translation, not hot, just a nice guy. I thought this was the Say It Like You Mean It show. I could be mistaken. Anyway, Maxim, on the other hand. So Maxim is doing everything he can to win. He's never won the mirror ball. Can you believe that? Never. But you know what? It just goes to show you, it's not about winning, it's about upstaging everybody else on the staff at Dancing with the Stars. Because I could have sworn Maxim won at least 4 mirror balls. You know, and you know, because he's the most popular one. Who's the hottest dancer on Dancing with the Stars? Right? Derek. I mean, he's cute, but I thought you were gonna say Maxim, but it's okay. I can show you a better look at him. This season, he's paired up with this gold medal ice dancer, Meryl. I can't even look at her. I am so busy looking at him. Would you look at his hairline? I'll tell you, I love the Dracula effect, how it points in. And he holds that back straight and holds you tight when he dances. Look how close they get, but they never consummate the kiss, as far as I know. They received a perfect score, so they're at the top of the leaderboard. Of course, no, don't clap for that. I mean, I don't mean don't clap for that. Go ahead, clap if you want. Of course they received a perfect score. He's a good dancer and she's a trained dancer. Dancing with the Stars is cheating. And last night, you know, in that confessional thing, Maxim showed a more sensitive side to himself. Take a look and then we'll talk.
In the back of my mind, you know, there's a little bit of me that can see this be the season that, you know, I get to go all the way. And I'm just trying not to get sucked into it. I think that was my downfall for the last 13 seasons of the show. It's really crazy. I must be the weakest freaking person on this cast. There's something to be said about the nature of this show is that it gets to you no matter who you are, no matter how strong you are. I used to be too proud to admit it, and now I'm too proud not to admit it.
Let the campaign start now in my head. I want Maxim to win. You know, it is, you know, there is nothing to me more heart-wrenching than to see an arrogant, pompous, jerky kind of guy. Because Maxim, you know what you are. Arrogant, pompous, and jerky, and all of a sudden, bare his soul. That is, I want him to win. Even though I don't want her to win. But I want him to win. Oh, Maxim. Well, Chris Brown might be going to jail. I mean, he's in jail now, but he might be staying there longer than he expected. Now, remember, Chris and his bodyguard, remember this story? It was about a year ago in Washington, D.C. Chris's tour bus was parked outside of a hotel. And a man came up to Chris and allegedly, well, Chris says that the guy was trying to get inside the tour bus. But the guy says all he wanted was a picture with Chris. Anyway, Chris is alleged to have, you know, gotten at this guy. And then the bodyguard came in and finished him. Well, yesterday, the bodyguard was convicted in a DC courtroom. Now, tomorrow is Chris's day in court. If he's found guilty, he could face up to 4 years in jail. Which that's, well, you know, he's got layers of cases. I don't think if he just did this one thing that would be 4 years in jail. You know, in my opinion, he can't do more than 2 years in jail before his career is done and people forget about him. You know, I think that Chris, though, is such a big talent that he could probably sit down in jail for like a year and a half, up to 2 years. I mean, I like Jason Derulo like everybody else, but he ain't no Chris Brown. You know, because Chris Brown does all the, you know, he does all that. You know I can't dance, but you know what I'm trying to do. You know, Chris Brown's got like Michael Jackson feet and a way about him. And I like August Alsina too, but he ain't no Chris Brown. So those boys, I think that if Chris disappeared for like 2 years and got himself together and went to jail, he could come back and you guys would still love him the same. As a matter of fact, you might love him more because you would have known that the man did his time. And I don't see any young R&B singers biting at his feet. You know, he's in a lane by himself. Well, apparently he's got a lot of people supporting him there at the DC courthouse. Karrueche Tran, his on-again, off-again girlfriend showed up. His mom showed up. Some of his aunts showed up. And Bow Wow showed up. For the life of me, doesn't he have a daily job at 106 in Park? Maybe he jumped on that Amtrak Excelsior train and hot-tailed it. What's it called? Acela. I heard it's fabulous. I haven't been on a train in years, but I do love a train. Like, to To me, a trip on the Orient Express would be delightful. I remember when I was in college, you know, I went to school in Boston at Northeastern University, and one of the best things next to People's Express, remember $99 for a one-way ticket? Next to flying People's Express was jumping on the Amtrak, and that 5-hour Amtrak ride, we had the food cart, and back then you could smoke your cigarettes. You could smoke cigarettes on the train and drink, and then the countryside going through Connecticut and going to New England, just beautiful. I don't mean to get all Earth on you, but it is Earth Day. It just, shout out to everybody who loves to take the train and see the countryside. Beautiful. I told you yesterday that I think that Kenya Moore needs to be fired from Housewives of Atlanta. No, I said Portia and Kenya need to be fired. But I was so shocked, like reading our Facebook page, and then you know, some of my staffers, you know, were trolling around the internet, seeing what people had to say. Most of you all agree that Kenya needs to be fired. I am so shocked. Well, you know, I burned my hand. I know, like, why is she wearing that nasty Band-Aid? I burned my hand on the top rack on Easter Sunday while I was trying to throw something together for my family, that's all. Anyway, the reason that I think Kenya needs to be fired is because I think that Kenya's too good for this show. Let me explain, you don't have to agree, but I'm gonna break it down. She likes lace too. Kenya needs to be fired because she won't quit the show herself. She needs to be fired because she needs to be fired. She was Miss USA. I am not a beauty queen, girl. If I had a daughter, she wouldn't be no honey boo boo, none of that. But I must say that when you win like these big titles like Miss USA, you're in a lane by yourself. You don't win just because you're beautiful, not in modern days. I mean, maybe back in like Lee Merriweather days, you know, and Marianne Mobley, they won because they're beautiful. But these girls, like Kenya is poised. You have to admit, she's very well spoken. She carries herself, I'm talking about aside from the ratchetness, she's a very well put together woman. Kenya Moore has a lot to offer, and I think that by being on reality TV at 43 years old, she's blowing her chances to ever, you know, she's looking for love. Clearly she doesn't have an African boyfriend. She's looking for love. She would like to have children at 43. Her clock is already ticking. I just think that she's better than that. She must be real damaged. Like, why isn't a girl like this, doesn't she have at least one marriage and one divorce with great alimony under her belt? She's wasting all of her smart and all of her pretty by crawling around on the stage getting her hair pulled. Kenya, you're better than that, so I think that they need to fire you. However, she might beat us to the punch because she says that she's considering walking away after the brawl with Portia. Well, that could be her considering to walk away because she knows that she might be fired, so now she's trying to, because any excuse is better than none. She said that she could have taken Portia down. You know, she did some type of combat classes for people who like teach the Israeli army how to combat. And she said in 3 moves, she could have taken her down. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You know what I do believe? I believe that a pretty poised girl should never stoop to fighting. So I just assumed you didn't fight back because that's not what you do, Miss USA. Now grab your scepter and get off that show. Are you familiar with the actress Carrie Lowell? She's been, what was she in? Oh, she's been in a couple of Law and Orders. Do you recognize her? Well, she's also known as the Mrs. Richard Gere. God, he's a good-looking man. I mean, what type of products do you use in your hair that it can go white gray but still be as thickalicious as it was back when you were playing the gigolo, you know? He is just so good looking. Remember when he used to be married to Cindy Crawford? They made a stunning couple. Anyway, alas, Richard Gere has moved on. Richard Gere has moved on. He's separated from Carrie back in September, and he's reportedly now dating our friend to the show, Padma, Lakshmi. Yeah. And there's one thing about Padma, she dates well. I mean, Richard Gere might be the poorest man she's involved with. And he's worth $100 million. I don't know where these girls, we've all had hiccups in our lives, or, you just date regular guys, you're really not thinking about the money, you date a school teacher, if he's nice to you, if he opens the door for you, if you're lucky, you get a cardiologist in there. I'm talking about us regular girls. Here goes, oh, pretty Padma. She was married to that author, Salman Rushdie, okay? Well, maybe that's what you have to settle for if you want to date better. Then she was married to a billionaire who died of brain cancer. Very sad, but then, she's got a 3-year-old son with her daughter with her last boyfriend, Adam. And guess who Adam is? He's Adele. Bung, 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 bung. Adele, Adele. Okay, he's not Adele. His brother is the main Dell, discovered the Dell Computer Company. But, I know. Now, look, no word on what Adam does, but as long as their son, or their child together, has his old Uncle Dell up there in the Dell office making them computers, Padma again and her child are taken care of. Well, now she's moved on to Richard Gere, and Padma, when am I gonna see you again? You were such a great guest last time that you were here, and everybody loves Top Chef. Plus, we want to ask you about your love life, if you don't mind. How do you find these men? You know what I'm thinking? Because I'm thinking, Padma, and not in an intrusive way, but you'd be perfect for this because you've never dated, well, a random guy. But what I'm thinking that Padma might tell us is that she puts herself in the right place, For instance, and Kenya, this is advice to you too. When you get off that show, you need to come to New York and go to the New York Car Show. And not to pose on top of cars, but because girls, if you're single, you go where guys are. If you want a guy of particular means, like Padma has, then you don't eat at some random Chipotle in Midtown Manhattan at lunch. You wear a nice tight outfit, you leave your girlfriends behind, you go downtown to Wall Street, you go to the best steakhouse, you take a table for one, and you watch those Wall Street men come in there, You watch what happens. If you're single, you gotta go where the guys go, and that's probably what she'd tell us. Anyway, Padma, nice talking about you. Good luck with this new relationship. Yeah. Normally I say, don't be friends with exes. Like when you break up with somebody, everybody breaks up with the person. But in the case of Tiger Woods really is in no position to tell Elin a damn thing. Especially after those 12 transgressions that we know of. Okay, but he has moved on, and he is with Lindsey Vonn still. But guess who Lindsey Vonn is now besties with? Elin. I think this is terrific. I'm gonna tell you why. Because first of all, Elin wants to know who the woman is that daddy has around the kids. You know what I mean? And second of all, Elin, this skater, what's her name? Lindsey. Lindsey has been with Tiger for 1 year, which, as best I can tell you, he hasn't stepped out on her. That's a big deal for Tiger, you know what I mean? This might be leading to marriage, I'm not exactly sure. But if it doesn't, if I were Elin and they break up, I would still stay friends with Lindsey and invite her over for martinis. And then when Tiger comes to pick up the kids, I'd be like, oh, you remember Lindsey?